Hello, Judy Latabo here from the Quilting Bee in Massillon, Ohio. And I am in a different position up here because Amanda's asked me to do a video on binding. And I have nothing, this is the only thing I have that I could find that needed a binding. Everything else is either bound or has gone north for a future project. So this I call springing into spring or something like that. I don't remember. I finished it last year. As far as the collage, did not quilt it and bind it because I wasn't sure where it was going to go. But we have decided, we have found a home for it. So this is what I will be doing a demo on for binding as soon as I get it quilted. So just a little something that is coming up. And she also said people are asking for a little tour. I'm a little distracted here. I have a little person up here with me because Philip is playing bridge online. A little tour of my inner sanctum up here. So, all right, do you want to say hello? She just woke up from a nap, so she is full of all kinds of vinegar. Yes, say hello. Say hello, Maggie. There, there. See yourself in there? There, now that's enough. Go play. So anyway, that's what's coming up. I will do the little tour before we head north, but that is on the agenda, just not this week because we have more children coming tomorrow night and our hands will be full. But today we have Sparkle and Shine. And for all that I have questioned on the previous, this one looks like it's going to be a real challenge. I mean, 1 3/4 inch squares, give me a break. Anyway, here it is, Sparkle and Shine, number 11 in our series. And it needs a total of 5 fabrics. So, you know, white is 1. And I am going to sort of follow their color scheme. I think it will help me keep track of what goes where. So I'm going to go with greens and pinks. These are the greens I have chosen. And these are my 2 pinks. Let's get this out here where you can see it. So I think it will be a nice combo. They go well together. There's enough green in here to pick up these greens. And then of course our white. But that means I don't have any place for this. My common denominator, that which has become the berry seed in my teeth. But I could have used this as one of my 4, but I didn't want it to be that dominant. So what I have decided to do, and nothing like making it harder on myself, I have decided for the D's, which are supposed to be white, they're here in the very interior of this diamond. I'm going to use my common denominator. I'll see how that turns out. I think it'll be okay. There won't be so much of it that it's overwhelming, I hope. So I am going to get started cutting. I would like to have this finished tomorrow before our 3 little grandchildren from New Jersey get here. So I'll see how I do. To be continued. Okay, I am back having cut out all of my pieces and ready to go on to step 2. It tells us we are going to take our C 3.5-inch squares and end up with half square triangles utilizing the C's, the F's, L, well, there's only one F, one L, one O, and is that an I? My pen that I'm using fades. But anyway, all of the 3.5-inch squares will go, printed squares will go together with a white one to make 2 half square triangles, so we'll end up with a total of 8. I'm going to come back and forth a little more frequently than I normally do for my sake as much as anyone else's, because it helps me reinforce what I need to do next. So that's my plan of action. But I also am going to be using a new foot. My 1/4-inch foot for my brother that I have here has that little flange on the side that you're supposed to keep your fabric up against. Well, that's all well and good if it's a traditional seam, but when you're working interiorly, if that's a word, and you're starting out, that flange, if I'm not careful, likes to work under the fabric. So I ordered a traditional straight 1/4-inch foot, which I brother doesn't have. What they have is the 1/4-inch and the 1/8 inch, but I think it will work because I'm pretty sure that's been my problem all along with my sizing at the end. I think so. So this is going to be the answer, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to leave you now to do my 3.5-inch half square triangles, and I will be back once I have accomplished that. All right, I am back and ready to move on. So I have my 8 half square triangles that have been seamed together, and they measure 3 inches. And I have taken 8 of my little 1 3/4-inch squares, letter A, and I have gone ahead and drawn a line corner to corner on all 8 of those. I don't know if you can see my line, but corner to corner, just like you would normally do. With those, I am taking one of my 3-inch half square triangles, and on the printed side, I'm going right sides together. I'm putting one of my little squares with my drawn line in the interior, going from the interior of the 3-inch half square triangle down to the edge, right along this line. Which means my unmarked corner of my itty bitty square is at the corner of my printed half square triangle. I hope that maybe you just see that automatically. I don't. So I am truing up my edges, and I am going to seam along that line a scant away from the line, a scant toward this outside corner. This is the outside corner that has no marking on it. So I will try my best to go scantily beside that line to the outside, toward my left. So that is my next job, to do each of these little 8s to all of my 3 inches. All right, I have sewn together my little half square triangles to the piece that only had, had the large, so that we now have all of our small triangles facing to the inside, because I wanted to match them with their corresponding partner. And I did that by looking at the picture that the directions provide. And with my coloring, I see that my light green meets my dark green, and I want to remember that that's the seam I'm going to sew. So I'm going to put my pin in along this, what will be my seam line, and that's out of the way. This is my darker green with what in my case is my batik. Again, this is the seam line, or will be. So let's stick a pin, especially for me, because I am easily turned around. And the same with the other. So those are ready, and we will set them aside. Because before we start working on those, we're going to work on our remaining 4 sets of our 2 1/4 inch squares and our D. I can't tell you these letters because mine have completely faded away now. I will use a different marker in the future. So these 8 will become half square triangles with my 8 remaining D's. In my case, my D's are my common denominator. So I will be marking them corner to corner and making half square triangles. Going to be good at this one of these days. So I will see you after I get that completed. All right, my center section is all sewn together. Get this in the right orientation. And we have one more grouping to make, and that's all of our remaining 1 3/4 inch squares, along with our remaining A squares. So there's 4 of those that we're going to seam just to make a rectangle, so that we can take our rectangle pieces and sew them together, ending up with 1 square. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I have hopes that I'm nearing the finish line. This has been a real project, hasn't it? So this will stay right here while I make my new squares for, I think these are corner units. Yes, each corner unit. Again, be back after I leave the sewing machine. I hung in there and just went ahead and seamed the whole thing together, because you have to be absolutely fed up with this video, and I'm pretty tired of it myself. So I got it all seamed together, and I admit I think it's an attractive square block. Would I go through, oh, I see. I was so proud. I thought all of my junctions met. I see one way down here that is a hair off. It isn't bothering me. I think it's just fine. So as I was saying, I think it's a pretty block. I would never, as in the rest of my life do even a table runner with this pattern. But I hope you are loving yours and having a better time than I had, and at least an easier time. But it is over. And does it measure 10.5 inches, you may be wondering? Well, of course not. Of course not. But I think maybe there was one or two. It isn't far off, and it is not bothering me in the least. So it is going up on the design wall, sparkling and shining away. Yes, sparkle and shine. And I will see you next week. Good luck. Bye now.